we just relay some facts,
whether they're new or antique.
So just sit back and relax.
It's time for What's Up This Week.
Hello! This week we're celebrating the release of Alfred Hitchcock's movie The Birds. It was released on March 29, 1963, and based on the short story of the same name by Daphne du Maurier. There are many differences between the movie and the short story. The movie is set in Bodega Bay, California. A socialite, Melanie Daniels, arrives in town in pursuit of eligible socialite bachelor Mitch Brenner. She purchases a pair of lovebirds for him, but when she goes to his apartment to deliver them, his neighbor tells her that he is not there, that he has gone across the bay to visit his mom. She gets a car and goes over to visit him and deliver the birds. As she gets out of the car, she is attacked by a seagull. That is the beginning of the attacks. Soon thousands of birds are attacking the town, preying on the school children and the residents. At the end of the movie, Melanie, Mitch's mom, his sister, and the lovebirds all flee Bodega Bay in Mitch's car. The short story is set on the Cornish coast on a farm. The protagonist, Nat Hawken, is a wounded World War II veteran. He works part-time on the farm, and he is given the lighter task to do. He repairs hedgerows, fixes roofs, repairs the farm buildings. He is married and has children. They all live in a cottage on the farm. Nat notices that the birds are massing along the coast at the end of autumn, but he doesn't think anything of it except that it will be a hard winter. The farmer tells him, though, that the birds have become very brazen and almost hit him in the head when he is out plowing. That is the beginning of the attacks of the birds. Nat boards up the doors and windows of his cottage and blocks the chimney so the birds can't get in. One of the things that I will never forget is the ending of this story. I was maybe 11 years old the first time I read it. This is the ending. Nat listened to the tearing sound of splintering wood and wondered how many million years of memory were stored in those little brains behind the stabbing beaks, the piercing eyes, now giving them the instinct to destroy mankind with all the deft precision of machines. And that's the way the story ends.
Hello, I'm Christina, and this week we're celebrating Jane Goodall's birthday. She was born April 3rd, 1934, and she'll be turning 87 this year. We know Jane Goodall best for her world-renowned work with chimpanzees in the Gombe Stream Reserve in Tanzania. She is credited for her groundbreaking field studies that forced scientists to redefine the characteristics once considered solely human, but in chimps, like eating meat and using and making tools. Valerie Jane Morris Goodall was born in London, England, to Mortimer, an engineer, and Vaughan, an author. Jane's love of animals began when she was very young. When Jane mentioned she dreamt of living in Africa to watch and write about animals, her mother told her that if you really want something and if you work hard, take advantage of the opportunities and never give up, you will somehow find a way. At age 23, Jane finally made it to Kenya, where she met anthropologist and paleontologist Dr. Louis S.B. Leakey. Impressed with Jane's knowledge of animals and Africa, he invited her to travel with him and his wife. They spent several years in Tanzania, ending up at the shores of the Gombe Stream Chimpanzee Reserve in 1960. Jane learned quickly that studying chimpanzees in their natural habitat was not easy, as they were shy and often fled at her presence. Instead of hiding from the chimpanzees, she made her presence known to them until they were comfortable being around her. She even went so far as to name the chimps rather than give them identification numbers, something the scientific community viewed as highly unorthodox at the time. However, because of her methods, she made several breakthrough discoveries. That chimpanzees were in fact not vegetarians but meat eaters. She also observed that they were not the dumb animals the world had assumed, but possessed emotions, minds, and personalities. Most significantly, she recorded them using tools to gather food. For example, stripping twigs of leaves to gather termites to eat. This discovery had significant implications about how to define man, tool, and animal. First, did the stripped twig used to gather termites count as a tool? If so, and man were the only species to manipulate their environment to make tools to survive, then did this make chimpanzees humans? Jane's work in Gombe became widely known, and in 1962 she was accepted at Cambridge University as a PhD candidate despite her lack of a bachelor's degree. In 1963, Jane published her first article in National Geographic titled "My Life Among Wild Chimpanzees." After many years researching chimpanzees, Jane founded the Jane Goodall Institute for Wildlife Research, Education, and Conservation in 1977. She also created an international research program for the institute called Chimpanzoo, dedicated to the study of captive chimpanzees and the improvement of their lives through research, education, and enrichment. Her activism was so notable that on April 16, 2002, the United Nations appointed Jane to serve as the United Nations Messenger of Peace and a Dame of the British Empire, or the equivalent of knighthood, on February 20, 2004. Today, Jane continues traveling an average of 300 days per year, speaking of threats facing chimpanzees, other environmental crises, and her hopes for humanity. To quote her, she states, "Every individual counts. Every individual has a role to play. Every individual makes a difference." Happy birthday, Jane Goodall. And now to you, Megan.
Hi everyone! Get ready to fluff your pillows and practice your battle cries because this week's weird thing is that April 3rd is International Pillow Fight Day. This is a worldwide event celebrated in cities all over the world. But where did this holiday come from? Believe it or not, the origins of International Pillow Fight Day can be traced back to pillow fight clubs and pillow fight flash mobs inspired by the film adaptation of Chuck Palahniuk's novel Fight Club. These organized pillow fights started popping up in major cities everywhere. Then, in March of 2008, the first World Pillow Fight Day took place. The rest, as they say, is history. The world's largest pillow fight, according to the Guinness World Record, took place in Minneapolis, Minnesota, with 7,861 people participating. Just like with Fight Club, there are rules to Pillow Fight Day. Swing lightly. Use only soft pillows.
Ouch! I am concussed.
Remove glasses before your fight. Don't swing at people who are unarmed. If you're interested in making your own pillow to fight with, we've got books available to help you do that. Or if you just want to get pumped up by reading or watching the inspiration behind International Pillow Fight Day, we've got Fight Club in both book and DVD format available for checkout. Happy International Pillow Fight Day, everyone! Join us again next week for more facts and trivia from University Branch Library.